By 1993, he was a full-blown international act, selling out arenas across North America, Europe, Australia, and beyond, even breaking through in the United Kingdom, where American country acts had traditionally struggled. Perhaps nothing captured his reach better than his free concert in New York Central Park on August 7, 1997, broadcast live by HBO and drawing what's been estimated as one of the largest crowds in the city's history. That same year, his album Sevens debuted at #1, and his duet In Another's Eyes with future wife Trisha Yearwood became a hit in its own right. His 1998 live album went on to be certified multi-platinum many times over, becoming one of the best-selling live albums ever released in the U.S. By the close of the decade, Brooks had won multiple Grammys and Academy of Country Music honors and had firmly established himself as one of the best-selling solo artists in American history. But all of that success came at a price that fans didn't see from the cheap seats. Brooks married songwriter Sandy Moll in 1986, and together they had 3 daughters: Taylor, born in 1992, August, born in 1994, and Ali, born in 1996. Those years, which should have been some of the happiest of his life, unfolded during the busiest, most relentless stretch of his career. While his daughters were growing up, Brooks was constantly on the road, recording, promoting, and carrying the weight of an industry that depended on him showing up night after night. The strain eventually became too much. He and Sandy separated in the spring of 1999, announced their intent to divorce in the fall of 2000, and finalized the divorce in December 2001. For fans who had always seen him as the picture of a devoted family man, it was a jarring reality check. And for Brooks himself, it seemed to confirm a fear he'd apparently carried for years, that stardom had given him everything professionally while quietly costing him time with his family that he could never get back. Then, in October 2000, he did something almost unheard of for an artist at the absolute peak of his commercial power. He announced his retirement from recording and touring. This wasn't a staged farewell built around an eventual comeback tour. By his own account at the time, he intended to stay retired until his youngest daughter finished high school. His final album before stepping away, Scarecrow, released in November 2001, still debuted at #1, proof that his audience hadn't gone anywhere. But Brooks largely kept his word, pulling back from the spotlight to raise his 3 girls in Oklahoma. In an industry where disappearing for even a year or two can be commercially fatal, he stayed away for nearly a decade, accepting occasional projects, a Walmart-exclusive distribution deal in 2005, benefit shows, and the occasional single, but never returning to the pace that had made him a legend. It's worth sitting with that choice for a moment. Brooks didn't step back because audiences stopped loving him. He stepped back because he decided his daughters needed him more than the charts did. It's the kind of decision that's easy to admire from the outside and much harder to actually live. A reminder that even a man who could sell out stadiums couldn't undo a broken marriage or manufacture more time with his kids simply by wanting it badly enough. In 2005, he married Trisha Yearwood, a country star in her own right who understood, in a way almost no one else could, exactly what his world demanded of a person. When Brooks did return to public life, he didn't rush it. In 2009, he launched Garth Brooks, The Encore, a weekend residency at Wynn Las Vegas. A scaled-down, largely acoustic show built around the songs that shaped him as an artist, rather than the stadium spectacle fans remembered. The format let him spend his weekdays at home in Oklahoma with his daughters and fly out for weekend performances, reportedly using a private jet to make the commute manageable. It was less a full return to stardom than a controlled, boundary-respecting way back into public performance. By 2014, he was ready for the real comeback. He signed with Sony Music Nashville, released the single People Loving People, and followed it with the album Man Against Machine that November. From 2014 through 2017, he and Trisha Yearwood toured together on a massive scale, proving his audience had never really left. That stretch wasn't without heartbreak, though. A planned 5-show run at Croke Park in Dublin, with roughly 400,000 tickets sold, was gutted down to 3 approved shows because of licensing disputes and complaints from nearby residents. Rather than perform a scaled-back version of what he'd promised, Brooks cancelled all 5 shows entirely, a painful reminder that even a superstar of his stature could be stopped cold by local politics and red tape. He kept building anyway, releasing Gunslinger in 2016 and Fun in 2020. When the COVID-19 pandemic shut down live music worldwide, Brooks and Yearwood performed an informal concert on Facebook Live that reportedly drew millions of simultaneous viewers and briefly overwhelmed the platform. A follow-up CBS special reached millions more and included a substantial donation to pandemic relief efforts, proof that he could still command a massive audience even from his own living room. His stadium tour, announced in 2018, brought him into NFL and college football venues across the country. In August 2021, he played to roughly 90,000 fans at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, the largest ticketed crowd of his career. And a year later, the crowd noise during a performance at LSU's Tiger Stadium reportedly registered on the university's seismograph. Along the way, his honors kept piling up, including the Library of Congress Gershwin Prize, the Billboard Icon Award, and Kennedy Center honors, all recognizing a career that had, by any measure, already secured his place in music history. By the time Brooks entered his 60s, he wasn't just a hit-making machine. He was a cultural symbol wrapped up in ideas of family, patriotism, and decency. That's part of why the lawsuit filed against him in the fall of 2024 landed with such force. It wasn't simply another celebrity legal dispute. For many longtime fans, it complicated a wholesome public image that had been built over more than 3 decades. The case was brought in Los Angeles by a former hair and makeup stylist who has been identified in court filings by the pseudonym Jane Roe. According to her complaint, she began working for Trisha Yearwood in 1999 and started working for Brooks himself in 2017. Her lawsuit accuses Brooks of sexual harassment and assault over the course of their working relationship, including an alleged incident in a Los Angeles hotel suite in 2019 while he was preparing for a Grammy tribute performance. The complaint also alleges inappropriate behavior, unwanted sexual comments, and explicit messages, and claims that Brooks tried to conceal the conduct, including by deleting messages from her phone. Brooks has denied every part of the allegations, calling them a shakedown and describing himself as the target of an extortion attempt built around a demand for a massive financial settlement. In a notable legal maneuver, his team had actually filed a separate lawsuit days before Roe's complaint became public, using pseudonyms of his own, John Doe and Jane Roe, in federal court in Mississippi, accusing her of trying to extort him and damage his reputation. Her attorneys have argued that filing first, and in a different state, was a strategic move meant to control the narrative and complicate her own case. What's followed since has been less about guilt or innocence and more about where, and under what conditions, the case will actually be heard. The dispute has stretched well into 2026, tangled in disagreements over jurisdiction, whether the case belongs in California or Mississippi, and over whether Roe can continue to proceed anonymously. A federal judge in Mississippi ultimately denied her request to keep using a pseudonym, a ruling her legal team has since appealed, while a California judge separately declined to dismiss the case outright but paused its proceedings in deference to the earlier filed Mississippi lawsuit. As of the middle of 2026, no trial date has been set, no settlement has been publicly confirmed, and the underlying allegations remain legally unresolved, meaning nothing here has been proven or disproven in court. What is clear is that the case has consumed a significant part of Brooks's public life for nearly 2 years, playing out in procedural rulings, appeals, and headlines rather than a courtroom verdict. The legal fight hasn't been the only hard chapter of these past couple of years. In January 2026, Brooks lost Nancy Seltzer, his longtime publicist and friend, who died at 79 following a brief hospital stay. Seltzer had represented some of the biggest names in entertainment over a career spanning more than 4 decades, and Brooks publicly remembered her as someone who avoided the spotlight herself while protecting her clients from it, praising the integrity and discretion she brought to one of the hardest jobs in show business. For a man navigating intense public scrutiny, losing someone who had spent decades quietly managing his image and shielding him from unnecessary noise was more than just a professional loss. So where does that leave Garth Brooks at 64? Not, in any real sense, a story of failure. He has sold well over 100 million records, redefined what a country concert could be, filled stadiums on multiple continents, and been honored with some of the highest awards American culture has to offer. But his life has also been marked by a divorce he didn't see coming when he started out, a decade voluntarily spent out of the spotlight to raise his daughters, a cancelled tour that no amount of fame could fix, the death of people close to him, and now a legal battle whose outcome remains genuinely uncertain. none of that erases what he built. It complicates it. And it's a reminder that even careers as extraordinary as his are lived by ordinary, flawed, struggling human beings behind the microphone. Garth Brooks built one of the most successful careers in the history of American music, but the years since his 60th birthday have looked nothing like the tidy, feel-good narrative fans spent decades believing in. Between family sacrifice, personal loss, and a legal fight that remains far from over, his story at 64 shows just how complicated even the most celebrated legacies can become. What do you think? Will history remember Garth Brooks primarily for the music or for the controversy surrounding this final chapter of his career? Share your thoughts, and if you want more honest looks at the people behind the legends, stick around.